You have come to the right place, and this is the long-awaited video of the Acer Predator XB273U GXbmiipruzx versus the Dell Alienware AW2721D. Now, both of these monitors are in the same market. They're both 1440p, both 240 Hz native, both with a 1 millisecond response time, both IPS panels, but I'm sure a lot of you are wondering just which one is better, which one should I get? And that's exactly what I hope you'll be able to figure out by the end of this video. Really, I'll tell you right off the bat, it's really up to you. I'm not telling you which one to buy here. And this is less of a pure tech review as it is a personal review of which one I personally think is better for its price. Now, I could sit here all day and spit off numbers, but I really just want to help you spend your hard-earned money on the monitor better suited for you. So if you want to see numbers, you can go watch Bijan Jamshidi's video, which I'll put a link to, hopefully right now, popping up on your screen. This video is really to talk about what I like, dislike, and love about each of these monitors, and really it's just an overall collection of my thoughts and opinions. The first point I want to bring up is the packaging that each of these monitors comes in. The box the Alienware comes in is so big and strong that I think it might have been a backup wardrobe for the Narnia movies. Also, if you don't know what else to do with it, it's so big and strong that it could double as a spare room for when the in-laws decide to come over and spend the night. Okay, so all jokes aside, the Alienware packaging is very immaculate. It comes almost over protected, whereas the Acer packaging is pretty standard. It's just some styrofoam, but it's still pretty good, and it'll definitely keep it protected during shipment. The second point I wanted to bring up here is the weight of each of these monitors. Now, the Alienware is so heavy, you'd think they have made the stand out of an old anchor off a cargo freighter somewhere or something. Now, the Acer stand looks like a guardian egg from Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, but at least it doesn't weigh 1,000,000 pounds. You know, it's skinnier. It's even propped up a little bit, a couple inches off of my desk. It has 3 legs in the front, 2 longer legs that protrude out, and in the back there's just 1 short little stubby leg. Now, each leg has a nice styrofoam bottom, so that's not going to scratch up your desk or anything. My next point, and this might be pretty petty, but Acer's thank you card is way nicer than Dell's, and you even get a dedicated Predator helpline and a 3-year warranty that come with the Predator. Also, the Alienware does not come with a specifications list of any kind, which may seem small, but I like to be able to read the list of specs of things like this so I can make myself feel better about blowing almost $1,000. Anyway, the first thing I really tested between both monitors is the ghosting. Now, the Acer comes with ULMB, or ultra low motion blur. Now this, it makes a big difference. The Alienware, believe it or not, has slight ghosting, even at the lowest refresh rate settings, the fast setting, and at the highest setting, the extreme setting, it's very noticeable. I went to the UFO ghosting test website to test this out, by the way. Now, the Predator has absolutely no ghosting at all. Not even the most microscopic pixel, as far as I can tell. It's incredible. I can see no ghosting whatsoever, even on overdrive, even on all the highest settings, highest brightness, everything. It looks incredible. For me, the ULMB makes a remarkable difference after seeing the ghosting on the Alienware. I would definitely consider it just for the ULMB. Now, when coming to the Predator and the Alienware, I came from using a TN panel. You know, it's got decent color, but from going from the TN to using the IPS panel, I can tell you right off the bat that if you're doing the same, the IPS panel has super deep, super rich color, and I can honestly say that the colors for both monitors is impeccable. Even just straight out of the box, factory settings on the colors. There's not a whole lot of color adjustment needed unless you have a very specific, setting you want picked. And besides that, both monitors just have crisp, bold, rich colors straight out of the box. Like I said, requiring little, if any, adjustment. I'm just using the factory settings. It looks great. I just have it on the RGB setting. Now, the fifth point I want to come to is the stands. Now, I already discussed the weight. Now, the Alienware pivots screen 90 degrees and rotates the stand. Acer also pivots the screen 90 degrees and rotates the stand. So they can both pretty much do the same maneuvers. Now, one more thing, and this, I mean, it's not a huge deal. I like to thread all my cables through the stand of the monitor. And now every monitor I've ever had comes with a hole in the stand for like cable organization. Now the Acer, believe it or not, has a much bigger hole in the stand for cable organization. Whereas the Alienware stand has a tiny little hole. I could barely fit a few cables through it. The display port was a bugger to get through there. Now that might seem like, a pretty small thing, but it's just for me. I prefer to have a bigger hole in the stand to thread all my cables through and whatnot. So I'm just mentioning that in case anybody else likes to do the same thing. Now, both monitors, unfortunately, have a case of IPS glow. This is a pretty well-known issue with these kinds of panels, the IPS. Now, if there was a big old glowy patch right in the middle of my screen, you know, with some IPS bleed, yeah, I wouldn't be too happy. But thankfully, it's pretty minimal for each one. It's really just kind of standard IPS glow. You can really only see it if you're on just a plain black screen. You can kind of see it, you know, at other times, but it's really, unless you're looking for it, it's not noticeable really at all. One more thing I want to mention is that the Alienware is quite a bit brighter than the Acer. And something else I wanted to mention with that in mind is I saw one guy on Reddit. I'll try and find the picture and put it up here. He had the two monitors side by side, and the Acer looked pink. It looked pink on a white background, but whereas the Alienware was just a beautiful, clean, crisp white, whereas on a white background, the Acer actually looked pink, had like a pink hue to it. It was really weird. Now, I can kind of see what that guy was talking about. I think his camera overexposed it a little bit, so it looks way worse than it does in real life. But it's kind of interesting. Even when looking at the glow, the IPS glow, you can catch some pink hues in there. It's kind of interesting. So I'm not sure why that is. So to me, it's not a huge deal. I mean, I can notice a very small difference, but it is there. There is a noticeable difference. It's kind of got this like off-white, slightly pinkish hue to it. The Acer does, whereas the Alienware, on a plain white background, looks crisp as can be. So that's one point I did want to bring out. One other thing that I found interesting was that the Acer comes with a pretty bulky power brick to actually feed power to the monitor. I've never seen this with any monitor I've ever owned in my entire life. It's like a laptop brick, like a laptop power brick, whereas all my other monitors, including the Alienware, just use one single cable. It's weird. One thing that was really weird with the Alienware was, I'm not sure if this is just the way I have it configured or what, but I turned on all of the lights, all the LED nice, you know, glowing lights. I put it on the spectrum setting on the Alienware, and I could hear like a dog whistle. I could hear a high-pitched ringing / screeching noise when I turned that setting on the Alienware. And as a matter of fact, on another setting, just with all the LED lights on simultaneously, I noticed that same kind of like ringing sound. When I turned it back to just like one or two of the lights on, I couldn't hear it, but it's so weird. I put on all the lights and I could hear this weird screeching. I'm not sure what's up with that. Now, as you know, the Acer comes with no lights, so that's another thing I wanted to mention. The Alienware, by far, looks nicer than the Predator. You know, the Predator, online, it shows it with the LED lights on the front. Yeah, it doesn't come with that, unfortunately. I wish it would. That would be cool. Maybe, who knows? Maybe they will add, you know, some LED lights on the front or something. Maybe like a sub-model, you know, monitor of the Acer will come with that at some point. Now, another thing I wanted to mention is just the overclocking on the Acer Predator. So it can overclock to 0.5 milliseconds. It can overclock to 270 hertz. But here's the thing, I actually don't notice much of a difference when it comes to the overclocking. I actually don't really notice much. 270 hertz versus 240 hertz, it's kind of unnoticeable. Now, if we're going to go up to 360 hertz soon, which, you know, they're saying next year they might, I mean, that would be awesome. And I'm sure there would be a very noticeable difference there. But just between the 240 and the 270, I'm really not noticing anything, you know, all that mind-blowingly different about each one. Now, one other thing I wanted to mention is that the Alienware is easier to mess around with, I would say. At first, I thought the Predator was, but I actually prefer the layout of the options menu on the Alienware. You get a ton of options. I think probably more options than you'd get on the Acer, just in terms of all the different display options that it gives you. You can definitely mess around more with the Alienware. Now, the Acer does not come with the sRGB. It's just regular RGB, but I think it looks phenomenal. Another thing to mention is that the Predator is only G-Sync compatible, whereas the Alienware comes built in with its own G-Sync Ultimate module. Now, I'm running on like a 4-year-old graphics card, but it's still a good card. You know, it's a GTX 1060, kind of a middle-of-the-road graphics card from around a few years ago. But I don't notice anything while gaming that's like, wow, you know, that makes me see a huge difference between the two G-Syncs. You got the G-Sync Ultimate with HDR 600 versus the G-Sync compatible with HDR 400. And I just gotta say I don't notice really any difference. It's kind of identical when gaming. Just wanted to mention that real quick. Now, in the end, it's a tough decision. What I think is the better monitor for the price. Here's the thing. All right. It's really up to you. You know, I don't want to seem like I'm going one way, because I will admit I am a little biased when it comes to Acer, because I've had Acer monitors in the past, and this was my first Alienware. Also, unfortunately, my Alienware came with a stuck pixel, so I had to return it through Amazon. So I'm not gonna lie, that kind of hurt the experience a little bit for me, but I'm trying to think as if that hadn't happened, which one would I think is better? It's a very difficult decision. I'd do all the research you can and just see which one, you know, is preferred for you. It really depends. Do you want the G-Sync Ultimate? Do you think you'll notice much difference between that and the compatible? Now, the Alienware does come with sRGB, but I don't see, again, I just don't see much of a difference between that and just a regular RGB. You might, you know, if you have a super, you know, great graphics card where you can notice every little difference, that may be something you want to take into account. Now, the prices are very similar. You can, you know, on Amazon, you can buy the AW2721D for about the same price as the Acer because it's on a discount right now. I would say if it's not on a discount, I'd go Predator all the way. But that discount makes it tough to choose because they're both fantastic monitors. Beautiful, bold, clean, crisp screens. Both have nice looks. Of course, the Alienware has the awesome lights and the cool looking stand. But I personally, trying to be as unbiased as possible, would pick the Acer Predator XB273U GX. In my very, very humble opinion. I'm not a tech expert by any means, but this is just the one that I personally liked more. It's the one I kept. Even if the Alienware didn't have the stuck pixel, I probably still would have kept the Acer. You know, the stuck pixel was just the straw that broke the camel's back for me. Now, I would definitely say to just, you know, if you really can't choose between the two, I mean, fine, I'll be the deal breaker for you. Get yourself one of these babies once it comes out at the beginning of 21, or so Acer says, or it might come back in stock on acer.store.com. You know, it might come back in stock at some point. It was just in stock, unfortunately, just went out of stock within about 10 hours. Or if you have a Micro Center near you, go and see if they got one in stock, man. Even if online it says out of stock, just go check anyway, bro. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please, if I left anything out that you think I should have mentioned or whatever in this video, definitely leave a comment below. Leave your thoughts. What do you think? Which one do you think you'll get? Any questions? If you have any more in-depth tech questions, I'll do my best to answer them for you. Any general questions, I'll answer. And so thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to all my new subscribers. You've come to the right place. You're now leaving the right place. Stay safe out there, guys. Hey, guys, just adding this in here after I've already edited the video pretty much all the way. Just wanted to add, the Acer does come with a headphone hook on the back, which the Alienware does not. And also, the Alienware comes with something the Acer does not, which is a very nice plastic cover for all of the different ports in the back. And I'll put a picture of that in there. I'm also going to include pictures of just the whole unboxing process of the Alienware, and just a few extra pictures here and there. So thank you guys so much again.